Welcome to the WD&D Roleplay Radio Podcast. My name is Cliff.
Hey, and this is Jason, and we'll be your host for our discussion of all things RPG and occasional tangents into other areas of geek culture.
Yeah, geek culture. Yeah, the big thing that was burning everybody up this past week was Wizards of the Coast picking on poor, hapless YouTubers by sending armed agents to come rough them up. At least, that's what you hear if you read the stories on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Everybody hears the word Pinkerton and they immediately start thinking about Red Dead Revolution, Dead, whatever that
Redemption.
Red. The Matrix destroyed all of those R words for me. I can never keep straight when they slap a R word: retribution, retaliation, regurgitation. I can't remember what the sequels are called. So. But yeah, when they play Red Dead and they run into Pinkertons in the missions, which Pinkertons did that back in the day, but it was a different time, and people were everything was fast and loose back then. And Pinkertons are like an internationally used company to investigate stuff. So when you got like loose cards out there. Wizards of the Coast probably doesn't have an investigations department.
Somebody did,
well, I mean, but that's what you got to do.
That was after they posted the video, of course.
Yeah. But Pinkertons are detectives; they're private investigators and private security. So, and if you read the stories not from Reddit and not from comments on videos, if you actually go to a legitimate news source that actually has some type of journalistic integrity, and I'm not talking about networks that are named after animals that attack chicken coops. But if you go and look at any of those news sources, and oddly enough, I actually read my account of this from Sports Illustrated. They actually have esports is enough of a sport that they actually have a video game section, video game reporter. But they actually their reporter talked about how they approached them. They said that, we needed to recover stolen merchandise. The YouTuber told them the story. The YouTuber said they believed that he hadn't stolen it, but they still needed to reclaim the material. Wizards of the Coast was going to refund them their money. Wizards of the Coast talk with the guy. Wizards of the Coast did not send people over there to beat this guy up and take his shit. They sent him over there to reclaim stuff before a release date. Now, Wizards of the Coast could have used this as a outreach moment. I was like, hey, this guy got a hold of something early. Let's do like a little surprise, sneak peek with the YouTuber that got his hands on. They could have made it something instead of letting the story get out and get under right. And but anybody that is in this day and age and thinks that a corporation is not going to be a corporation, corporations are in business to make money. They may give to charity, but don't ever think that Wizards of the Coast is in the business of making this game to make us happy. Well, some of the people that make it might feel that way, but the corporation, the VPs and everything, the people
happy people means money, so
it does. But like individual people, no, no. It's just people that get on the internet and they get these stories and they do their hot takes and stuff like immediately in the middle of the issue without, diving in and seeing everything that's going on. And like they start like painting Wizards of the Coast with the worst possible paintbrush, which they're a corporation. They're going to do the corporate thing. I don't know. When it comes to the hot news story of the week, I'm like, come on, seriously, this is what everybody's losing their shit about? Can't we get back to like Marshalls versus Caster debate or something online? or something like that. I mean, they unleashed a brand new Unearthed Arcana at this time period. I go online to see what people are talking about, some of the alternate things, and they turned the Warlock into a half caster, but they allowed the Warlock to like pick and choose which attribute they're going to cast from. Everybody's still talking about Pinkerton private detectives. I'm like, come the hell on. Oh god, it's like the things that people choose to let control their attention is crazy.
Yeah.
But
what can you do? It's
attention grabbing, and that is a perfect segue over to our big topic this week: virtual tabletops versus actual tabletops, live play versus online play. And like attention grabbing. Oh my god. I play virtual tabletops currently, and it's horrific. When I am working like a 9 to 5 job, having 2 computer screens is amazing. When playing a video game, it's really nice to have another screen so I can look up a playthrough or look up like a tutorial on how to build something in a video game. Those are amazing. When you're playing a role-playing game, having that second screen to take your attention from what's going on, it is horrific. And so I'm just as guilty about like fleeting attention that I was just complaining about everybody being online. It happens to me too. So I feel your pain. Don't think I'm on the mountaintop like pointing down at everybody. You have attention problems. No, that's me too. I'm not speaking down to you. I'm speaking as one of us. So yeah, I mean, that's just one of the things that like really differentiates a tabletop game to like a full-blown virtual tabletop game.
And I can see the value definitely of the virtual tabletop games, because it lets you play with people who may not be in the vicinity to come drive to your house or drive to whatever store you are playing at, or rec center, or wherever you gather to play your games. If people that you've been playing with, move away. We have people that have done that. They've moved away for jobs and other things, and it's a good way to keep connections with the people you've been playing with for decades and stuff. So I see that as a plus in that category.
And it also works, exactly the vein that you're talking about. And we'll go into this a little bit more, how virtual tabletops have kind of like come about because of online gaming in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. But like if you meet somebody, you're playing a video game with somebody, one of these MMOs, and you're like, right. And you say, "Oh, I play D&D." They're like, "Really? I've never played D&D. I'd love to play D&D." And this cool person that you spend like 10 hours a week playing a specific video game with, be like, "Hey, yeah, you want to come?" We play it over a virtual tabletop, and suddenly the fact that this person lives 3 states away is not that big of an issue. You were limited to only being able to play with people that you knew face to face, but in this day and age, with people meeting friends online, and just like Jason said, with people moving away, having this option is amazing.
Hey everyone, this is Jason from the WD&D Roleplay Radio Podcast. Just giving you a short bit about my book that I've written called Broken Circle. Now, Broken Circle is a fiction novel, and it follows the lives of 3 friends from college that have reunited after graduation. You have Corey, who is a wealthy heir to a real estate fortune. He's trying to escape his family's expectations. You have Jelaine, who is a television executive. She's working her way up to the top. She has a bit of a secret that no one knows about. And there's also Tim, who is a football player. He's attempting a comeback. There's a lot of twists and turns in this book. If you like soap operas or dramas like that, you'll enjoy this book. There's also a whole list of other characters that you'll find very interesting. And there is, of course, the soap twist. So you never know what's going to happen. So please check this book out. It's called Broken Circle by me, Jason Jose, and you can find it on Amazon. You can also find it on Barnes & Noble website. You can get it digital, you can download it through Kindle, or you can get a paperback copy. So check it out, Broken Circle.
But getting back to our conversation about virtual tabletops, this day and age, you meet so many people online, and people moving away, like Jason said. It's having this as a tool to advance your gameplay is amazing.
Yes, it definitely is a good tool. Now, I haven't played on anything but Roll20 yet. I haven't done Foundry or any of the other virtual tabletops, but so far, it takes a while to get into the flow of it, but once you learn how to navigate the system, it becomes easier, just like anything else.
True, true. And I found in the past, before the pandemic explosion, and let's take a moment to talk about that. One of the big reasons that it is so widespread now is because of the pandemic.
Yep.
People wanted to game, but they couldn't go back and forth to each other's houses. They couldn't congregate at a local gaming shop. So the only way to play was via a virtual tabletop. I remember in the first couple of weeks of the pandemic, you try to log into Roll20 on a Friday night or a Saturday night. Yeah, good luck. I
Hmm.
mean, it might as well have been trying to get onto StarCraft or Diablo back in the day when those games first went online and everybody wanted to play. Like the demand for server space basically was so big that they were kind of like swamped. But they bounced back and they provided the service that everybody was clamoring for.
Now, I've got to talk about, the tabletop, which I still like to do, is I still think is in a way better because you have that face to face. You have
Yes.
people together, you can make subtle changes on the fly. Like on a Roll20 map, if I need to do something, it takes forever to adjust certain things. I'm stuck with what I have right there on the screen. I can't do any changes to the dungeon or to monsters. You can change, but it still takes a lot. Um, with the Roll20, as far as D&D goes, I wish they would make some improvements as far as a couple of things with the NPCs, being able to create NPCs and not just regular player characters, which is fine. Character Mancer is pretty cool. I do like that, but creating NPCs, I want more of a. You can still drop and drag certain stock characters, but if you want to make subtle changes, you got to do it by hand, or you can't add feats or nothing. You got to all that stuff has to be done manually. But once they figure that part out, I think it'll be a little better.
Well, it's still, you'd have that exact same problem if you were trying to make something in in a tabletop situation, except that you wouldn't be able to click a button and pre-generate a 7th level rogue blank
Right.
that fast. I mean, it's you're right. The fact that we have to rely on a computer program, the algorithm, as our friend Jeff loves to say every time he talks about the virtual tabletop. Yeah, it's not Dice Karma anymore. He's always complaining about the algorithm, and it's going to be a drinking game eventually. I know it will be, but the fact of the matter is that you can do so much more so quickly that learning to use the system is of great advancement to the entire process. One of the things that I love about it is even before we started diving into virtual tabletops, I was using my personal computer for everything. Before I even had a laptop, I would be making maps and creating art on my computer to use in my games, fantasy games, post-apocalyptic games, superhero games. I was making a massive amount of content on my computer. Now I don't even have to do the printouts. That was always a struggle. It would be game night, and I'd come home from work and find out that, oh no, I don't have enough ink in the printer to print this out before game time, or we're gaming on Friday. I have to finish this before so I can get it done. Now it's just a question of, just upload the image over to Roll20. Send the link to my gallery over on Pinterest or whatever. So it's definitively made sharing your content that you make for your game as a player, and you've got stuff for your character versus, even as a GM, all the stuff that you have to produce as a GM, it makes it a drastically different. And, as a GM, Jason, I know you have to enjoy that when somebody, and I'm not going to throw myself in the fire and say that I'm one of these people that do this, sends you a 5-page backstory. Now that we're doing this over a virtual tabletop, I don't have to see you roll your eyes when I present this to you like you're actually going to read it. Now I can just send you the link, and then, 3 levels later, I can go, it was in my backstory, and you grumble and go, all right, yeah, fine, whatever. That whole awkward moment where you ignore the fact that I give you something, we can just totally sidestep that. But that gets into the next thing that, I kind of want to go into is hybridization, where you have an active game that's face to face, but use of a virtual tabletop to enhance what happens at a table. Now, before the pandemic, this is how my Rifts game on Friday worked. I ran the game from my computer desk. My computer screens were my GM screens. I had them like pushed to the side and tilted so the players couldn't see them. And I had an HDMI cable running over to the TV that was in my little bedroom / office. So that was the map / handout window. And if I had something that I gave to people individually, since we had a Discord set up for the game, we're sitting there face to face. We're not using Discord to talk, but I was able to use the Discord channels to individually send people images that only they could see. So then they could pick up their cell phone and look at an image that only their character was seeing with their device right there at the table. That is great. It's using so much of the ease of accessibility that cell phones and the internet have brought to the world, and it's making it accessible right there at the game table. That is beautiful. And if you're in a situation where you are able to be face to face and you're kind of like, I don't need a virtual tabletop, there's a lot that a virtual tabletop has to offer. There's lots of programs out there, World Anvil. I think there's one called Ledger, and then people use things like Microsoft OneNote or Google Documents to organize all of their game stuff. Virtual tabletops let you take that information and share it with your group simply.
That's what happened on our Sunday game through my job. We have, I might have mentioned this before in a previous podcast, we have our job, well, my job that I work at, they allow us to use the building on Sundays to run a monthly D&D game. So we have co-workers and stuff that are interested in, and China Marie, who already had a comment that I forgot to mention.
Oh, yeah.
That we talk about the D&D movie, and she said she was not happy that I dissed the first D&D movie because she liked it.
Oh.
But, most people didn't. So good on you, China Marie. I'll see you Sunday.
Oh, my.
But that's what she does in the game. And the other DM, Rico, they have it set up so that everything is on their laptop, all the information they need. They have the Roll20 there, and they bring the big screen, and we used the actual conference room screen last time, which was pretty cool.
That's nice.
But, and he puts the map out. When we get into combat, we tell him where we want to move and all that good stuff. And so we get at least that good visual going on, and he doesn't have to draw maps and stuff. So that kind of works out for our game.
I had a situation in the past where I thought my workplace was going to be able to get like some type of D&D game going, because the site director for my facility came in and his little promo thing said he played D&D. And I mean, he came in and the place needed a lot of direction, and he didn't really have time to go in and play. But we had like 3 conference rooms in that building. I honestly thought about trying to get a Dungeons and Dragons thing started, but honestly, nobody at my job really seemed into it at all. And it's not that I hit it. Everybody that knew me at work knew that I played Dungeons and Dragons, so it didn't take off there, not at all. Even though I think he would have been okay, because we had people in that building all day long, 7 days a week. So it's not like you even coming into an empty building on the weekend. You're just coming in to the building. That would have been cool. That is talking about how virtual tabletops can be used to bolster the face-to-face game. And that's kind of like a baby step into where I think gaming is going to be going. So many people are used to the point-and-click interface that they get from a video game. All of these games that call themselves role-playing games. And to me, a role-playing game was a bunch of geeks sitting around a conference table or a big kitchen table and play acting what the math rocks say happened. That was role-playing for me. And then as video games started coming out and claiming that they were role-playing games,
it became a genre.
Yeah, but like all the role-playing games that are called role-playing games, you got 2 types. You control a small group of individuals, like the Dungeons and Dragons games were notorious for back in the day. You'd have 4 different people, and you could choose their classes, and then you equip them, and those were the games. Or
Elemental Evil, my favorite.
Yeah, that one was great. And then you've got like everything that's Elder Scrolls, all the way up to like the current Skyrim, where you have like one really, really powerful character that advances. And I mean, they even call Assassin's Creed role-playing games. They call God of War a role-playing game, where I mean, there's not really any role-playing when you have a menu with 4 different options and you can only pick the pre-recorded responses. I mean, Mass Effect, basically it was like, oh, there's so much choice. You basically get to choose positive or negative. And at the end, I think somebody brought cupcakes to the BioWare, their headquarters, and they were all vanilla cupcakes, but half of the icing was blue and half of the icing was orange, because that was basically the extent of the choices that you had. It's all the same thing, it's just colored differently. But I think in the future, it doesn't matter if you're talking about like at a gaming table that uses some of the virtual tabletop technology, or if you're playing strictly on the virtual tabletop. I think that the future of gaming, and this is video gaming, and those of us that consider gaming this thing we do with the click clack dice rocks, I think that AI is going to have a huge impact on it, because I mean, we've already seen that like ChatGPT and Bard and all of these other programs that everybody's kind of like freaking out about or fanboying and fawning all over. These programs are capable of creating enough generic text that they can basically fool plagiarism checkers and at the college level. Like the written portion of a business master's degree course from some prestigious university was fooled by one of these chatbots. So these things have the capability of creating storyline, and they even have ones now that do it sequentially. It presents you with a small scenario, you type out your response, it does the next scenario based on what you gave it. So it's way beyond, the amazing choices you get to do in Mass Effect. No, this isn't a yes-no type situation where you only get 2 choices. you type in something and then the AI goes over your words and looks at everything that's been said before then and then spits out the next thing. And this is where we're going. The show Star Trek Lower Decks, that comedy animation show that is one of the newer offerings for Star Trek. It's a cute show. I like it. I like it for what it is. It's a comedy. It's not like a serious take. It parodies a lot of things that happen on Star Trek, and I love that for it. But one of the things that they do is these lower ranking ensign types, they actually play a game that's like Dungeons and Dragons, and they sit around a table in one of the cargo decks, and they have like data pads with their character sheets, and everybody's all excited, and a couple of the people are even dressed up in character, and they come up. And then at the end of the table, and it's been a while since I saw this episode. I don't remember if it was a video screen or a hologram, but they got one of the actual actors that plays a Klingon to do the voice of the Klingon that is basically the game master. And he's like, "You have insulted the honor of the House Faragar, and they come at you with the Batleth. What do you do?" And like it's literally a holodeck individual at the end of the table being the GM. So, you know, in situations like that, when you've got your 4 people that you play D&D with, you always, when you say stuff like that, it's easy to forget the GM. The GM is always there as like the steward of the game world, the warden of the rules, but they're an active part of that game. Having AI being able to step into the role of the story provider will be huge in the gaming world, because it means that the GMs can finally leave the forever GM position and they can enjoy the game as it's progressing. So I fear that, and I love it, because with the AI, there's no way to like talk with the AI and like say, "Hey, I've got a crazy idea." The AI's be like, "Does not compute." You know, with a GM, with a friend, you can talk about concepts. You can pitch them a crazy idea, and they can look at you and roll their eyes. It'd be like, "No, that won't work," or they could be like, "Okay, I think I can get that to work." But with an AI, no, if it's not 1, 2, or 3, they're not going to be able to, you know, figure out the home brew and stuff like that.
You can have so much adaptability.
Exactly.
To it.
But I think that's where we're going in the future with this.
Well, hopefully not soon, because I like running. I'm a massive control freak. So there you go. Speaking of which, our G.I. Joe session will hopefully be happening this Saturday. So we'll have an update next podcast, because we don't have anything now.
Well, we got some pretty cool character concepts cooking up so far. We're still a couple of people short. You know, we took a brief hiatus, but we've got a couple of pretty good concepts so far, and hopefully we can get that thing going, just like Jason said, and give everybody an update.
Okay, so I think that we are going to
wrap it up here.
Wrap this one up. Yep.
Well, thank you if you stuck around to the end of our ramblings. We look forward to speaking to you again, and thank you for turning into WD&D Roleplay Radio.
Of course, we'd love to hear your comments, so you can reach us at Twitter at WDND Podcast, or you can also give us an email, wdndpodcast@gmail.com.
If you like what we're saying, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Feel free to reach out to us and share your ideas and become part of this conversation.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for listening to WDND Roleplay Radio, and we'll be speaking to you next time.